Hello, and thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Sasha Reed. Today I've got this little book to share with you, a bit of a tutorial on how I made it. I've been wanting a prayer journal for a long time now, and I saw these dies from Surprise Creation and I thought they would be perfect. These are planner dies that I'm using, and I've decided to make a little prayer book for all my prayers, things that I'm thankful for, answers to prayers, just something I can keep for my own personal thing as a Christian. So these are all the dies that I've used. They are all from Surprise Creation Store. As I said earlier, they are designed to be planner dies. They're quite cool. There's lots of dies that come with each little section. They are all unique and different. They're quite nice because you can use a lot of them for different projects, like this little brick wall thing here. It's quite cool. I haven't used that in my journal or my prayer diary. I've also got some extra sets like these ones here, the flowers, the border and the butterflies, this extra set here. Some of these are given to me as a design team, and some of them are ones that I've bought with my own money because I do like this shop a lot. So I've got all these dies here. The ones I'm sharing with you are ones that I have used in my book and are ones that I had fun with. This one here is a fun, funky edge die. Where you get all these squares, you get them in two different sizes, and I use those in my little prayer book as well and fit really nicely. These edges here create a whole entire page, but I chose to cut them off to make a border. And these are stencils that I got from my friend Natasha Foote here on YouTube, and they are from My Favorite Things, and so I thought I'd have a go with those. My paper pad is from B&M. It cost me $2.99, and this is pearlized paper that I get from Lime Tree Crafts, which is what I've used as the extra paper for the edge of my book, and I believe for my flowers as well. So these are those flowers that I shared with you from that circular die from one of Surprise Creation's new releases. And what I've done is I've gone and inked around all the edges. Now I've kind of skipped a bunch of steps here because I didn't really want to bore you, but I basically cut all the pages out multiple times and then I inked all the edges using Tim Holtz's walnut stain ink. And so now I've gone and stuck the flowers down. The ink around the edges of the flowers is the same Tim Holtz ink. And now I'm just adding some Nuvo drops to make them bubble up. Now here you can see my pages have changed. I took out my binding just so I could lie my pages flat and take out the ones I needed to dry. All these stickers here are Vellum stickers. I've become a bit obsessed with Vellum lately, and I love these Vellum stickers. I will link all of them down below. They're all from AliExpress. But basically I wanted to jazz up some of my pages and some of my elements, and all I'm doing is literally just sticking down these stickers. They are so brilliant. Once you stick them down, they just kind of blend right into the page and they're beautiful. And you get so many in a pack. They're really awesome. I absolutely love them. Each page I tried to make a bit different, add a few different elements onto them. Here I've got some butterfly ones, and I'm just going to stick a butterfly one onto this little section here. Some pages I left blank, some pages I added extra additional bits. Now this is where I use the stencil. I stuck down this purple tape on the left hand side and then very quickly realized I don't need to tape the stencil to the whole thing because I only want to run the hearts down that one side. So once I realized my error, I then lift that tape back up. But what I wanted to do on this was add a bit of hearts going down the edge, but I wanted them to be quite pigmented. So what I'm going to do is cover up the edge of this stencil. This is post-it note tape from AliExpress. It's very cheap. It's really handy. It's very, very, very low tack. I really like this tape. I don't feel bad using lots of it. It doesn't cost that much. I do reuse it when I can. Here you can see I've got Squeeze Lemonade. It's a distress oxide, so I was hoping that this would be quite nice and pigmented. I started out with using a brush from AliExpress to apply it on. However, I found that this brush just wasn't getting as thick of an ink as I wanted to get down. So I've put that aside and got out one of these sponge dauber brush things. And I thought I would get loads of ink on it and really saturate it with yellow. But when I was doing it, I was still not getting quite the effect I wanted. I wanted to cover up a lot of what was behind it. I wanted to have some really cool yellow pigmented hearts. So in the end, I got out some of my texture paste And so I've put this down, and as I'm putting it down, it's picking up the yellow pigment. So I'm getting the yellow hearts, but I'm getting the more matted yellow hearts, which is what I really wanted to get in the beginning. So here you can see my little spatula, it's quite yellow. Then I wanted it to be glittery. So I've got this Arteza pen, and I've made my own Wink of Stella in it. I'll link the video down below, and I'll put it at the end of the video as well as to how I made my Wink of Stella. But I wanted it to be glittery and sparkly, so I'm adding it on. It's still wet, but I'm just adding on a coating of it, and I'm kind of tapping it on. I'm not brushing it on because that will remove my texture paste. When I lift it up, I've got exactly what I was going for, my nice sort of pigmented hearts. You'll see them again at the end of the video. So here on this page, I wanted to stick one of these stickers down. Now these are fun vellum stickers. They are black and white, which means you can color them. So I've got my Arteza alcohol markers. I'll link these down below as well. I really like these markers. They come dual tipped, so you can see this fine tip here, and here's the brush pen side. And all I've done is dead basic coloring. I'm the worst colorer in the world. I really am not good at this. All I did was just add some dark tones, add some light tones. I've got a dark green, a light green, dark pink, and a light pink, and that's all I've got. And the nice thing with this vellum sticker is that it blends really, really easily. It's kind of it's not a gloss, but it's quite smooth. So when you apply those colors, they just blend instantly. You don't have to work at it at all. It seems to kind of keep them a little bit wet, I guess. And so you can just put those extra colors on right away. So I wish I'd chosen a bit better of colors to match my paper a bit more, but I was just so keen to get coloring, and I didn't have a swatch yet for my alcohol markers, so I couldn't exactly tell how they would work. So my coloring is slightly lighter than my background, but never mind. I still really liked the end result, and it meant that I got to color a sticker and make it fit what I wanted it to do. So here's another technique that I'm going to share with you. I started out with putting a bit of pink down around the edge. You'll see I wanted to have a bit of a heavier edge of pink so that I could then come in with my brown and kind of add my brown. But then I thought actually it just looks a bit silly having that thick edge, so I'm just going to cover the whole thing in pink. With Distress Oxides, they're a really cool ink. They activate with water. So when you add water to them, it kind of lifts the color. It sort of makes it bubble up a bit, if that's the right word. I'm sure there's a better way of describing it. Basically, if you spray it with water, you can lift that color and you can get this cool kind of effect that, as you can see there, where you can see the white blotches. So when I'd done that, I decided then I'll add my little brown border, but I really wanted just a very thin edge. So I just kind of dabbed it on the edge all along the sides and added my brown edging to that to kind of blend it in with the rest of my pages. Now all my pages, I think I mentioned earlier before, I've distressed them all with the walnut stain, and this is the same color. I'm just distressing it again around the edge a little bit once I've done my little fun technique. So all these little elements that I'm putting on are going to be the spaces where I'm going to kind of write my titles or write specific bits in those boxes. I just wanted it to be fun. I wanted to play. I wanted to have a good time making my book so that I could enjoy writing in it. These are the Vellum Butterflies that are my absolute favorite. I will link these down below from the shop I've ordered from. The shop I originally ordered from ran out. I've ordered another 2 packs from another shop that I found them in, so I'll link those down below. But I use these on all my envelopes. I love them. Now when you put them on, they just blend so nicely into the paper, as you can see here. They just look stunning. These are my Bigs dies these are actually Stampin' Up! Letters dies I got from my Stampin' Up! Days. And this is a bit of board I get from work. I work in a framing studio. I frame pictures, memorabilia, things like that. And this is thick mount board. This is the offcuts from the inside of a mount. And all I'm doing is chopping them down to be a little bit bigger than my letters so that I can run them through one letter at a time and not have to cut all of them out and put all that strain and pressure on. So here's my big shot. You just need your one cutting plate on the bottom, your Bigs die, your bit that you're cutting, and then the top plate. And this cuts through very, very thick materials, and it cuts out these letters beautifully. So there's my little letter A. Now originally I wanted to say prayers and I was playing around with all my letters. In the end I ended up going with pray because it seemed to work better. That's my magic box of all kinds of extra shiny and exciting things, my kind of mixed media box. And in a minute, I will share with you what I'm putting on here. I ended up sharing with the camera after I'd done it all rather than before. But this is a really cool paint. It's kind of got some kind of grit in it or something. It's very textured. So it's got lots of bumps and biddies in it. So when you paint it on, it's a brown paint. You can get it in several different colors. And you can see that texture in there. It's like it's got sand in it or grit in it. So all I'm doing is covering all my letters in this texture paste. Here we go, Rust Effect Brown Paste. So it's really quite cool stuff. And this is the gold I'm using. It's from Artsy maybe. And it's just a gold, not a paint. It's like a, I don't know how it's like a wax almost maybe. I don't know how to quite describe it. If you Google it, it'll probably give a better description. But this is stuff that I use at work in the framing studio to repair picture frames as well. We have a different brand, but it's basically the same stuff. All I'm doing is touching my finger into it very, very, very lightly. You do not need much at all. A little goes a ridiculously long way. And all I'm doing is rubbing it over top. And you can see all that rough texture from that grit that's in the paint is catching that gold. And it's kind of giving it this really nice kind of rustic effect on the top. This stuff we use at work to kind of fill in the cracks on the edges of our pictures. So if we've got a gold frame, then we can kind of make the corners nice and soft and smooth, and then we can use the gold sort of paste to kind of blend it back in so you don't see this rough raw edge in a sense. I hope that makes sense. It's quite late at night and I'm quite tired. So here's my word pray, and I've covered it in the gold. And I really like the effect that it's got. It kind of feels a bit vintage and a bit fun, and it makes it pop off my paper a bit more. So here's my little trick to get my letters straight. I take my T ruler. If you haven't got one of these, buy one. best ever purchase I've ever made. You're gonna line it up with that one edge, and then it'll help line up your letter to go straight across. So you get this nice even level letter instead of a crooked one. The stuff I've got in my little squeezy bottle is from Ranger. It's a matte medium from Ranger. It's a very, very, very strong adhesive. And that bottle is from AliExpress. I've just used a little syringe, sucked it up and stuck it into that bottle so that I can spread it a bit easier onto the back of my embellishments and anything I would want to adhere to my book. So I'm just sticking down a decent layer of that, not enough that it will squish out the sides, but enough that it will adhere it really nice and solidly. So again, I got my T ruler, and I'm just lining up each letter and then getting my ruler right where I want it to be, and that way I know when I put that letter down, as long as I line it up flush against the ruler on the bottom edge, it will make sure that my letters are nice and straight and exactly where I want them to go, because I have done a lot of wonky letters. Now this is a butterfly embellishment. I can't remember where I got it from, but I worked out the points at which it touches my paper because the whole thing isn't flat. It's slightly curved on the wings. So I'm just applying my Ranger matte medium to all the edges that touch my book, and I'm putting a nice thin layer, but a decent layer so that it actually sticks. And all I do is I stick it down and I let it sit there for about an hour just to make sure it was nice and solidly stuck. These are split rings, and I can't remember where I got them from. I think probably Amazon ages ago, but I've got loads of them, and they're really handy for books like this. So all I've done is just stack my books and then kind of tip them to the side, and then it lines up all the holes and I can stick those rings through them. So here's my overall finished product. These are each of my pages. I plan to write in these little boxes and then fill in more of the page. I've got silver pens, gold pens, white pens, glitter pens, and I just plan to write straight over top. Like on this floral page here, I'll just write in silver and it'll still stand out. It's a book from me. That's one of my stencils there, as you can see. This is a book from me. This is a book that I want to have. I wanted pretty papers that I liked. I wanted fun little things. So It may not look practical, but it's going to be fantastic and exactly what I need and what I like. It feels crafty, it feels homemade. I'm likely to look at it and use it more often because I've made it. So here's my page with those flowers, with the Nouveau drops all nice and dried. I love that all these pages are different shapes and different sizes, but they all fit inside my covers. I absolutely love how it turned out. There's the colored one that I colored in with my alcohol markers. There's my splatter one where I sprayed it with the water. And there's some more of those vellum stickers I stuck in there. And that's the butterfly that I used, that I shared with you at the beginning. It kind of pops up a bit, and I inked the edges of the butterfly wings, and that's my back page. So the book itself I made, and I used 2 pieces of the paper to make the front cover and back cover a bit more sturdy and a bit thicker. But I'm so happy with how this turned out. I think it looks absolutely beautiful. It's exactly what I wanted for my own personal use. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had fun. I hope you were inspired, and I hope you get crafty and creative. Stay in, stay safe. Bye for now.